sure it'll be great. Yeah. All right. We are live tonight, Thursday. Thanks for checking out Museum Ship Mafia. My name is Ken Stano with the YouTube channel History X. And tonight it's another live crossover broadcast. We got 3 YouTube channels as always, and hopefully some visitors from the Museum Ships Facebook group. Tonight, we are going to be talking about this ship right here, the USS Cobia, which is a Gato-class submarine operated in the Pacific, now on display at the western shore of Lake Michigan at the Wisconsin Maritime Museum. Let's see. People helping me tonight. There's a picture of the Wisconsin Maritime Museum right there with the Cobia. Like I said, western shore of Lake Michigan. People helping me tonight from the Buffalo Naval Park. We've got Shane Stevenson, and from the USS Slater in Albany, John Epp, curator over there, and the Transportation Museum of Thunder Bay, which has the Alexander Henry on display, Connor Kilgore. He'll be what?
I see a theme with all the snow in these new pictures here, Ken.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Yeah. Snow.
All right. So let's see. All 3 of these guys helping me tonight. When it comes to Connor, he's going to be handling and monitoring any kind of questions and comments you might have while we talk about the Cobia this evening. So make sure you throw in your questions, throw in your comments. You saw the snow in the pictures. Let us know what the temperature is where you are, where you might be watching. Let us know what channel you're checking us out on, whether it's the Slater's channel, the Buffalo Naval Parks channel, or my channel, History X, because we can't do this without subscribers and viewers. So submit those questions and comments.
Hey,
all right. Tonight's episode. Oh, we'll get to that later. Tonight's episode, like I said, the Cobia. We've got with us tonight from the Wisconsin Maritime Museum in Manitowoc, Wisconsin. We've got Karen Duval. Is it Duval or Duval?
Duval.
Duval works.
Either one works.
All right. Curator at the Wisconsin Maritime Museum. She was nice enough to join us this evening. To check out the Wisconsin Maritime Museum, you can visit their website, wisconsinmaritime.org. Check them out on YouTube, Wisconsin Maritime Museum. Simply search for that in the search bar, or on Facebook. Is it WWII Maritime Museum?
Facebook, maybe.
We're going with that.
WMM otherwise. Cobia, you'll find it there.
Like I said, Karen Duval, she's the curator over at the museum. Her direct phone number is 920-374. Don't worry, I wouldn't do that to you.
03. Send you somewhere else.
No, I'm not going to do that. All right. So I'll be blunt. I don't know a lot about the Cobia other than, what you can find on Wikipedia. I checked out the website, of course, but Connor, thanks to Connor, he's the one that got you involved in this, which prompted me to send you the email. And before I let you start, what is one of the things that people like me don't know about the Cobia that you wish you would like them to know?
One thing.
Well, go for it.
One thing that we think is really cool and don't really advertise a whole lot is that we have our radar works, and to our knowledge, it's the oldest working radar. So unless someone has something that's older, but one of our amazing supporters restored it and holds the license to run it. So sometimes we'll track the car ferry that goes across Lake Michigan.
What?
That's how it's fun.
So it doesn't just spin, right? Is that what, like, you actually have the radar working with the equipment and receivers and everything? Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
Yep.
That's really
and there was something else on the website about your radio equipment works as well.
We have 2 great electronics guys, and Tom has gotten pretty much the whole Radio Shack up and running. He's got that working. He tinkers with it, and we have 2 working engines and a high pressure air compressor. So those are kind of our biggest things. Plus, and then the ship's whistle. with the air compressor.
How often do you run the engines?
Maybe 4 or 5 times a year, usually in the summer. We always do it the first Saturday in May because we have a USS Lagardo remembrance ceremony. So we usually fire up the engines for that. And then ceremonies or reunions, special events, we can fire up the engines.
Well, that's all pretty cool.
I would just like to say that when I went to visit them in 2022, Karen was kind enough to actually let me start the engines, which I'm pretty sure I might be one of the only Canadians that have started a World War II American submarine engine.
All right. What? That's not much of a
It's you and Wayne Gretzky, bro.
Well, let's see. So Karen sent me a whole bunch of photos.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to
a whole bunch of images, and I've got them all uploaded and ready to go. I don't know if they were in any particular order. If you wanted me to get those going in any
Not
particular
really.
order.
I just threw a variety of stuff in the folder.
Do you want me to start just pulling pictures up, or do you want to just tell us about the Cobia in general?
I could do just a quick background of it.
Go for it.
So Cobia launched Groton, Connecticut, not in Manitowoc. March 17th, 1943. Launched in November. Commission, that's coming up at 80th anniversary on March 29th, 44. So that's coming up. She did 6 war patrols in the Pacific, sank a total of 13 ships and rescued 7 downed airmen and had 1 casualty. So that's a quick World War II history of it.
Let's see. I want to see. There was this is a pretty cool picture. Well, you sent me a whole bunch of great pictures, but at first glance, I just thought this was a close-up view of the conning tower of the. But it's actually, it looks to me like the Cobia is transferring. I'm going to guess a down pilot, maybe back to a destroyer.
I think that's actually a transfer to COD from what I've heard from Paul a while back.
Transfer to COD, huh?
Yeah, and this would be, I think, post-war because I believe Cobia did not have numbers during the war, which is why we don't have them now. So this, I think, was the 50s.
Pretty cool pictures. A lot of the photos, which I got a kick out of, had a lot of the crew, and that's why I created the title for this. You know, Life Inside World War Submarine USS Cobia.
Polly's in, maybe.
What's that?
All of the boats, especially like because the Croker and Cobia are sisters, 245, 246, they had their ship's party at Polly's Inn.
Yep.
Near Groton, Connecticut. And so, you know, Karen was mentioning late March, and our 80th anniversary is April 21st. So it's 3 weeks later, we were commissioned right behind Cobia.
Oh, really?
Cool. I didn't realize they were so close.
Yeah.
Let's see.
At some point, I'd like to hear what you guys are doing for the 80th anniversary.
Birthday party, which everything just falls under birthday party to make it simple and fun. It's like 3 different birthday parties during the year.
Charlton asks, was Cobia upgraded with Guppy?
Nope. Actually, Cobia has had very few alterations after the war. So she's pretty much got that original World War II look. And when we last dry docked in 96, we pulled off a lot of post-war items that were on deck at least. So we shoot for about mid 45. So she's looking pretty good, close to her 1945 look.
Going back to the commissioning party, another photo here. You know, when we have, I don't know, like, anybody that does operates a museum ship, and we have them on, you see a lot of pictures of the ship itself, you know, rightly so. But what I liked about what Karen did was she, like I said a few moments ago, sent a lot of pictures of crew, officers, sailors, that type of thing. And no, everyone just looks pretty excited.
Smoking and drinking. What else?
Yeah. The other thing about the Wisconsin Maritime Museum is they throw watermarks on everything.
Yes.
That's
I
good.
mean, Wisconsin
Yeah,
Maritime
that's good.
Museum is written everywhere, so don't try and copy these photos and use them for your
We had
own
a collections manager that taught us well several years ago. So anything we put on social media like that should usually has a watermark.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the officers.
Officers,
Very
and then the flag that they're holding in the foreground is
That's the logo, Cobia fish, which black and white. It actually looks like it has a mouth on that one. It's supposed to be a mouth, but when it's colored and modernized, it looks like a beak and a parrot.
mhm.
But
And
that's not the end of the war. That's
now
before.
I'm going to need some help with this picture because I got a kick out of this picture. I didn't, if you look closely on the right-hand side, these two guys, everyone else is clean shaven and everything, but what's the deal with these two guys on the right? I didn't know facial hair, even religious purposes during World War II was allowed. Am I wrong about that?
Yeah, there's some other photos with guys with some crazy beards. The one where they're on I think I gave you the one with they're on the beach. There's a guy that's got a huge one and a cigar hanging out.
Let's see. The beach was, let's see, that was 50.
And I think that's the one where Captain Becker has does he? No, he's clean shaven there.
Actually, no, you're right. You're right. There are a couple of guys with beards.
I think submariners were allowed to have beards.
They were pretty casual.
Yeah.
They got away with a lot.
You know,
We
yeah.
have photos as well of guys with beards after a war patrol. So they might go out clean shaven, but by the time they come back.
If any viewers tonight know the story behind that, if that's a lot, I mean, you look at this picture and Karen's right. I can count, geez, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, quite a few guys, beards.
Mm-hmm.
So if any viewers know what the regulations was on that, you know, just throw a comment.
My understanding is it was generally clean shaven, but at the end of the day, the captain is in charge of your ship. Going in for an inspection, he might then request, "Hey guys, clean it up." But while we're underway, I don't care what you do.
I mean, they could pretty much get away with anything underway, and that would waste precious
Especially on
water.
a
So
submarine too, yeah.
save water for something more important than shaving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good point on the water.
Mm-hmm.
Another picture of the.
So, just a question: who was her captain during World War II? Did she have multiple, or did she have one captain who
Just
stuck with her the whole war?
Two, Captain Albert Becker did patrols 1 through 5, and then
Wow.
there's a running joke. Some of the staff a couple years back thought the second captain was Kennedy. I said, who the heck is that? They had it in their head, and so now it's Captain Kennedy on the 7th patrol is how we run it. So now I always forget. I think it's Nelson was the one for the last short 6th patrol. Trying to think of his name right now. I'm blanking, but Captain Becker, he was everyone's favorite. He was a pretty cool guy. His son was on board for the first time. I think it was 2 years ago now. So that was really cool to see.
Very nice, interesting.
In some of the pictures you had provided, there's a mention of a rescue, and I think it's this picture right here.
Oh, yep, I did share that.
Yeah. So what can you tell us about that story?
The plane was doing was on a bombing mission, and they were on their way back, but they were shot up and going to run out of fuel before they came back. So they planned to bail out, and Cobia happened to be in the right place at the right time. They weren't on lifeguard duty. They got lucky. And then there were 7 of them that bailed out, the pilot being the last. I think that might be where they're bringing the pilot up. The one with the guy with his leg over the railing, that's the pharmacist mate, Captain, or Doc Starmer, Herbert Starmer. And the pilot, from the stories we've heard, wasn't convinced that this was an American sub, so he was playing it cautious. Apparently he was under a raft with a knife in hand, and they had to convince him with some sort of baseball stats, I think, that they used, that they were American and friendly, and it was okay.
They had to like throw out like earned run averages or something like that to
I
prove
think
that.
so. Yeah. So the crew became they became honorary crew members, or all the airmen after the war.
That reminds me of a couple of months ago. We did the each of us had to tell a story in 4 minutes and 59 seconds. And Connor, you told the story about the Oakville, and didn't they make the guys they fished out of the water talk mention how many swear words they knew? before?
Yeah, basically the 2 Canadian sailors who ended up in the water with the Germans, when they got picked up by the American destroyer, it's often said that the Americans figured out who the Canadians were by how many swears the Canadians were yelling at them, type deal.
Oh, okay.
And it's like, oh, no German can know that many English swears. They've got to be Canadians. Send them back.
Let's see. There was, I think, number 19. Hold on a second here.
So you said she went on those 6 war patrols. What did she do post-war?
Basically, just some training during the Korean War off East Coast. And apparently Captain Becker was in charge of the mothball fleet when some people from Milwaukee went looking for a sub, and he said, here, I have a sub for you. And he offered up his sub. So Cobia then was in Milwaukee, Wisconsin from 59 to 1970 when that was brought up to Manitowoc.
And what's the story with this guy right here?
That is Ralph. What's the date? The date's coming up. He was 19. He was on board about 2 weeks, and Cobia was doing surface battle with 2 smaller ships. He was a loader for the 20 millimeter, and he got caught by some crossfire, basically almost tore his arm off. So they lowered him below decks. Last thing he said, he had borrowed Doc Starmer's rain jacket when he went up topside because he couldn't find his, and they're in a hurry. He goes, Doc, look what those bastards did to your coat. So I guess that was his last words. They had him on the bunk. He was too injured to do anything. So then the next morning they had a burial at sea for him, which I think I also included that photo as well.
I believe that's this one right here.
Yep.
Was he the only fatality aboard Cobia?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, and even though it was only 2 weeks, the crew had a lot of great things to say about him. They wrote little notes in a notebook to send back to his family, and they packed up his locker, gave it to his family, and they hung on to it. I think it was 2008. A niece, I believe, had the box of everything yet and said, there's really no one in the family that wants it or will appreciate it. So she donated everything that was in his locker, or what was left at least, to the museum. So we have a nice display of just, some of the basics things that submariners had. So
how does that work? Did you know that was coming, or was that a total surprise to you?
That they called ahead. So it wasn't just appeared one day, but they called and said, hey, do you want this? And we said, absolutely. So we have like his toothbrush, tooth powder, Bible, Blue Jackets manual, uniforms. I think it was a Purple Heart certificate. So a lot of just some really cool stuff to tell the story.
Did you have any connection with the family beforehand?
I did not. I was, at that point, if it was 2008, I was only full-time about 2 years at that point.
Okay. So
I didn't have as much interaction with the crew and families at that point.
But all of you guys are curators. Not only Karen, but John, Shane, Connor, all you guys are curators. And is that how a lot of your collections end up in your hands? It's just a total surprise. You get a call one day.
Yeah. Just randomly shows up from USPS.
Sometimes, yes.
Yeah, that's true.
Wait, I can't tell if you're joking or you're being serious.
No, I'm serious.
No,
a lot of our donations come through mail, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
A lot of it just shows up.
I mean, it's almost near impossible to know the status of every family member of the crew. And I know that's not really what you're asking, but it's yeah, we can't keep track of like family members and check in once a year with the, hey, how you doing? Do you have anything? Did you find anything? So you build the relationship. Sometimes someone will call you and say, I don't have anything yet, but I'm going to start going through the stuff. And then you have the, at least, you know, then you have that connection made, and then they know to reach back out to you if they find anything, you know. So someone died, they served on the Little Rock. We haven't gone through his stuff yet, but if we do, you're the guy, you know, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
we found that our newsletter really helps with that.
Mm.
People won't think to donate stuff, and all of a sudden they get the newsletter in their email, and it just clicks in their mind, oh, I should donate this to the Slater.
Yeah.
Because like Karen said, there's no one in the family that would really appreciate it as much as the museum would.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, last year we lost the last crew member last year too. So for the first time, I don't have a crew member to go, hey, you remember this? It's really, really crazy. We still have some contact with the families, but we're unique too, having built 28 subs in Manitowoc. So I always say I have 29 boats to keep track of. So we get stuff from the other boats as well. And having, you know, the shipyard, that big history in Manitowoc as well. So there's a lot of stuff that we get offered aside from the general maritime stuff as well.
Mhm.
And how did the Cobia end up? I think it was in 1970, but how did the Cobia end up in Manitowoc, even though it was built in Connecticut?
That makes people mad sometimes.
Why is that?
Because they think it's a Manitowoc boat, and why don't you have one? Well, it's sorry. They actually, so there was the local chapters, World War II sub vets at the time in the late 60s, wanted to bring a Manitowoc sub back and have it as a memorial. Manitowoc subs were really well built. They had strong welding. Manitowoc shipbuilding was unique in that they built a welding jig, so that rotated the whole hull section around the welder. So the welder always had a really good, strong downhand weld. So a lot of the Manitowoc subs went to other countries after the war. They tried to get USS Redfin, I believe, in '68, but she was on the West Coast, not in the best condition. They tried to sell Redfin decanters, Jim Beam Redfin decanters. You might find them. We still get offered them all the time. And then they didn't raise enough money, but at the same time, Cobia was in Milwaukee as a training boat. She was down there with Tautog. And basically for the cost of towing, the group was able to get Cobia, and it's only 90 miles south. So it was really easy just to bring Cobia up from Milwaukee and bring it to Manitowoc. And they had formed the museum and the organization, I think it was Manitowoc Submariners Memorial, in 1969. So they created that first and then brought the sub up in 1970.
And it's been there ever since.
Yeah, and we did it's the third location that's the museum's been, and we were across the river. They built the new museum in 1986, and then we expanded in 2003.
Into what the building looks like today, into this,
Yeah.
in this picture right here.
Yep, the whole third level, everything that's, well, on the photo to the left of the gangway or the brow going out to the sub, that was all added on to the museum.
What's your staff size like there, Karen?
Full time, I think we're 13, 14
Okay.
changes. And then depending on the season, 10 to 20 part-time staff that tour guides, work the front desk. We do a lot of overnight programs, so we have overnight tour guide staff that do that. So bigger, probably at the highest we've been since I've been there. At one point we were at 9, and that was a little tough. But
So what's
yeah.
it like also having to handle a larger building like that? You know, we just have like a small trailer, so we don't have much to worry about. But I mean, that's a sizable structure right there.
Yeah,
that's where having extra staff is nice. We have different areas. We have a great education team that works with the kids and all the school groups coming up very shortly here with school field trip season. We have a huge collection, an offsite collection. We just brought in, was it 10,000 shipwreck artifacts last year? Because we're the state repository for shipwreck artifacts. So
Oh, wow.
we have everything. It's just the general shipbuilding of Manitowoc, but also the state. We are the state's maritime museum. So we have a gallery that's just full-size boats, all Wisconsin-built boats. We have the history of sort of shipbuilding in Manitowoc, where they went from the wooden ships, the schooners, to the steel ships and the freighters. That through about late 60s, 67, 68. Ryerson was the last one built in Manitowoc. So we cover all of that, and we have a shipwreck exhibit that we change around because people love checking that exhibit out. We're going to open one that I've been helping out with the end of, June 6th, hopefully it opens. It's going to be on the LCTs that Manitowoc built for the war.
And how's visitation? You guys are open year round?
We are. The last couple of years, in the winter season, we are closed Tuesdays and Wednesdays. We're not far from Green Bay, so we stay open Mondays. We get a lot of Packer traffic or Chicago Bears traffic, depending on when the games are. So Mondays are pretty decent. So we close Tuesdays and Wednesdays, but otherwise in the summer, 7 days a week.
Guided or unguided tours?
Both right now. We used to be solely guided, then COVID happened. So we developed an audio tour. So this time of year, we offer guided tours on Saturdays. We offer them every day in the summer at certain times. But then if people are in a hurry, they can always have the option of doing the audio tour, which did prompt us to get cameras on board. So that's been a plus.
Mm-hmm. So what's the deal with the restoration? What was that big sigh for?
Right in the thick of starting it. Dry dock, we are scheduled to go into dry dock, which is in Sturgeon Bay, driving an hour north of Manitowoc. Dry dock would be September, probably right after Labor Day, hopefully 4 to 6 weeks at the most. So we are just starting the process of the timeline of what we need to do. Been doing pretty good on fundraising. We got the Save America's Treasures grant in 22. So we're still working on that. Plus, at the same time, raising money for our offsite storage facilities. So we try to do 2 big projects at once. But yeah, there's nothing critical, but we haven't dry docked since 96. Thankfully, we're in freshwater, sometimes cold freshwater, as you see there. So that's been pretty great. It's helped us a lot without having that salt water. But basically just clean it. The big thing with us, and I'm sure the other Great Lakes boats know, that zebra mussels, quagga mussels, when we had a diver last year, there was 100% coverage.
Oh, really?
So we did an ultrasonic test on the hull in 2011, did a pressure wash, and at the thickest, they were about 3 feet thick.
Oh,
what?
So that's one part I'm dreading, is when they clean that off and all those mussels are sitting on the bottom of the dry dock. It's going to smell great.
Yeah.
So really, we can't do a really good underwater inspection, even with divers, because they have to scrape all of that away just to see a small portion of the hull. So really want to get it out of the water.
For those people that aren't familiar with the Great Lakes, because I don't think the zebra mussels, they're
tiny. They're like,
they're little tiny clams. Little tiny clams or oyster looking things, little tiny shells, and they showed up in the Great Lakes, I want to say in the mid to late 80s. And they're
Russia or something, right?
Say that again.
Russia, right?
No, Italian, I think.
No,
It was an Italian ship.
It was Canadians.
yeah, it's probably the Canadians allowing the story that I heard was a Russian freighter dumped its spilled water
Mhm.
in Lake Erie or something like that, and then they spread like wildfire. And at first, people thought they were great because they filter all this water. They filter about a liter of water an hour, but they cling to everything.
Yep.
So when Karen says they were 3 feet thick, I find that hard to believe, but at the same time, I believe it. Yeah, they stick to everything.
Yeah.
And the worry is when you do take them off, it could potentially damage the hull a little bit, right?
That's what we need to find out. There's theories that maybe that's actually kind of protecting the hull, having that thick of layer of zebra mussels.
How was cod?
We won't know.
Do they have any mussels?
Yeah, that's a good question. I was gonna ask what lessons you learned from cod's dry dock.
I don't think they had a full coverage like we do. So they must be in a better area. We apparently are not.
Well, Paul tells a story. I would actually like to see it as like a car wreck. You want to see it, but you don't. Where when they were draining the water out of the dry dock, obviously all of a sudden now the zebra mussels, and so they all started opening and closing their shells, and it looked like there's just one big wave going across the hull of this undulating clams opening and closing. Yeah, they did have a lot though. I don't know if it was full coverage.
That's gonna be fun.
Yeah. So if that's true, if I'm remembering that right from Paul and the cod, if you guys can get a video of that, I bet you that would be like
fully coated too.
Yeah, that would be very interesting to watch that.
I'll speak of the devil.
What?
Oh,
he's here.
He's here.
Paul.
Hey, Paul.
Hi, Paul.
Paul's the best.
Say his name 3 times, he appears.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So just confirm, Paul, if that story was true, that they were all like, if you can do that. I want to say that's true, but it could be wrong. I could be totally not right.
Wrong.
When the cod was in dry dock, I'm sure you guys sent somebody over to check it out to see what you could learn.
You would think.
What?
Well, they were in 21. Maybe the Cobia hadn't had the plans yet.
I've been planning this for probably 14 years now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I've been with the museum for almost 23 years now, and the problem with that is I know how to do a lot of different jobs, or I get stuck doing other jobs. So when cod was in dry dock, I was at the time helping plan events and event coordinator and rentals at the museum, which I'm back to doing again. So I take care of the boat and I host weddings and meetings and things like that. So I'm multi-talented. But at the time, everything was so busy at the museum. Sadly, I did not get a chance to go see cod.
Did anybody?
Bummer. No one from my museum went. No.
Huh.
Huge missed opportunity.
Yeah, I would say.
That's right. Nice to rub it in, Ken.
Well, I'm not trying to rub it in, but I mean, maybe a little bit. I think about. I mean, heck, Shane. Even when the proximity. I mean, you're a lot closer, but even you went to pay a visit to the cod and dry dock, correct?
Yes, even us. Yeah, even we did it, Karen. I mean, come on, we in Buffalo did it.
Yeah,
we went. We visited twice, I believe. One to just talk to Don John. Okay, so no, forget it. We went twice to the dry dock, but once when Paul was there with the cod, and we were able to get permission to walk around and look at the various areas on the keel and the work that they were doing. And
and a lot of people forget, but you do have the croaker. So
a lot of people forget. I'm not doing my job then, man. Yeah, that's right.
No.
Yeah, we're covered
in any mussels.
Oh yeah, we're covered in them.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, they are. I saw them when I was there.
All 3 ships.
Yeah.
Well,
Surprisingly,
what about you, Connor? Do you have zebra mussels?
So that's the interesting thing. We, to our knowledge, don't. I think
Well,
we
they
dove
They
didn't
also
into
got
make
like
it into
6
the
feet of
bay
ice
yet.
up there 8 months ago.
Right.
not
Too
this
cold.
year. Yeah. Not this year. We think we only have about 5 inches of ice this year. It's not been as cold a winter by any means. No, I tell a lie. It's probably closer to 8 inches. No, so you got to remember with the Henry, when she was a museum in Kingston, Ontario, which is on the other side of the Welland Canal from where all the lovely mussels are. She was in a dry dock there, and they were constantly checking and all that stuff there. So realistically, she only went through the waters of the zebra mussels while being towed from here or from Kingston to Thunder Bay. And to my knowledge, I don't think she has any on the hull at this time.
Wow.
Okay. I like this comment here that Cod invited everyone to visit the dry dock. Silversides and Shane's crew showed up. Nobody else. Did anyone show up that you didn't want to be there? That's what I want to know. All right, let's get back to some of these pictures. Let's see, because I promised Karen we'd have her for a half hour, and we're going over.
I mean, I can talk about Cobia forever. So
Hold on a second.
I'd love to.
Going back to, where was it? There was another pretty cool picture, number 18, which is this guy right here. What's the story with this picture here?
I believe that was after the war.
Okay.
Yeah, it was October 40. It's kind of scroll.
45.
Yeah, so that was right after the war. They must have taken the boat back to Connecticut and went out to a bar like they always did.
Being curator over there at the Wisconsin Maritime Museum, do you have anything in your collection? I love asking the guys this. Anything in your collection over there at all that you don't know what the hell it is, why it's there, how it came to be there? Anything? Some kind of paint by numbers painting, and you don't know why.
A better question: what's the coolest thing?
No. I like my question
I'll
better.
do both. I can't, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything at least sub-related that we're not sure of, but we
All
do
right,
have
then John's question:
other
what's the
stuff.
coolest thing you got in your collection?
That's
Besides
Besides the submarine. Yeah.
actually one of my favorite artifacts, aside from anything submarine related, is a Bible from the Phoenix that burned. I think it's a Dutch Bible. It's just a really cool artifact, and it was saved, and it tells a story. It's a very tragic story. So that's actually a really interesting artifact, and it's my one non-submarine artifact that I like and know about.
I think I saw that on your website. Is that the one that has like a date from like late 1600s or something?
Maybe it's been on display in the shipwreck gallery for a couple of years now. But it's really neat. We also have a life jacket that was cut off of a sailor that washed ashore. So they didn't undo it, so they cut the ties, and that's usually like a fun story to share in October.
Oh yeah.
But I think
1847. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I think
I was going to see if I was on their website to see if I could find what you were talking about. See if I could pull it up. I couldn't.
I remember the Bible. I remember that artifact on display when I was.
Oh wait,
there.
that's when the fire was. But then there's something written in Dutch, and it says Amsterdam 1693. I guess.
Yeah, we I think there's a Dutch film crew about the last year or two that was doing a story on it. A lot of immigrants from there. Now that you mentioned that brought back that.
Well, you could tell it was in the water. Holy cow!
Yeah.
Well, if somebody wants to, because the Cobia is going into dry dock after Labor Day, if somebody wanted to support that effort or just support the Cobia in general, what's the best way for them to do that?
Go to our website. Otherwise, we have a really cool campaign going on right now. So even if you go to social media every day, there's going to be a link, because last year we started it. We have 28 Manitowoc build subs, 28 days in February. So we do the 28-day, 28 boat campaign. This year is +1 for Cobia. So we'll feature Cobia on the 29th. And we also sneak in the 2 subs that were canceled, which were also named, and they were Needlefish and Nurka. So we do that for fun trivia on the last day. But if you donate $28, you get an entry into a drawing to start the engines, probably in May when we do it for the first time. And if you give $80, then you get a piece of Cobia's deck. We're in the process of replacing the deck, and a Cobia coin. So the coin sits in the deck. We have a really awesome volunteer who does woodworking. So he's cut up a bunch of pieces for us from the old deck and has a nice coin stand. So if you donate 80, you get that.
Do you guys have an idea how much you're thinking dry dock's going to cost?
Ooh, good question, John.
Very good question.
We are hoping to raise a total of 1.5. Right now, with that $500,000 grant, we're about 800,000.
Oh, you're about halfway.
Yeah, and we've done small campaigns. We haven't done huge, big push yet. So we're slowly working on it. But we also do have another large project that we're raising money for. So it's finding that balance in a small community.
And let's see, that website, Connor had it up a few moments ago, but I want to say it. And yeah, there you go. Thank you for doing that, Connor. So the website, in order to support the Wisconsin Maritime Museum, www.wisconsinmaritime.org. And again, not only is the Cobia going into dry dock, well, what is that, 9 months from now? But they have other projects as well. So definitely
next year.
What's that?
Got a year
Next year.
Year and a half yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
A year and 9 months.
So it's 25. It's not 24.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I was under the impression I wasn't going to say anything, but I did the math, and if it was if it was 24, it's like, wow, you got to raise $100,000 a month. In Okay, so you've got until 25. Thanks for clarifying, because I was actually going to drive over there this Labor Day. I would have been there. I was like, well, where is it? So yeah, that's wisconsinmaritime.org. Check out their YouTube channel. Do a simple search for Wisconsin Maritime Museum.
Don't worry, Tim. We'll have better drivers.
How did Nesmith find out we were doing a broadcast tonight?
Well, he's spying on us, probably.
Yeah, well, okay, and that reminds me, for those of you watching tonight, check out our broadcast next month, second Wednesday of the month. Tim will be joining us, where he will be basically telling us about how dedicated he is as a someone that works on a museum ship.
And, yes, right.
Yeah, so he's going to tell us about his incident firing the gun on the USS Kidd and how he made the ultimate sacrifice. So yeah, that'll be second Wednesday. I'm trying to pull up the date.
That's right. Of course he'd hear about it. He subscribes.
All right. Let's see. So that's going to be March 13th.
All right.
Be joining us.
I'll be a whole year older.
What does that mean?
My birthday is in between now and then, so.
Oh, get Connor a present, everybody. All right.
I'll send you a coin.
Yes, I will accept. Yes, I will accept challenge coins.
So besides YouTube, you can also find the Wisconsin Maritime Museum on Facebook, and I'm assuming Instagram as well.
Yep.
No, I'm sorry, Karen. Was Cobia awarded any citations?
Yeah, it had 4 battle stars.
Mm-hmm.
It had 4 battle stars? Yeah. So like a naval unit citation, anything like that? Do you remember of?
There was one of them, but I don't remember specifically which one. They did get credit with sinking a troop transport and a tank division that was on the way to Iwo Jima. So there was like 28 tanks, I think, on that ship that they sank.
That was a huge help.
Yeah.
So Cobia is credited with 13 enemy ships, 6 war patrols, 13 enemy ships. And if you think about that, you know, little over 2 ships per patrol, that's a pretty good average.
It's all lies, Paul. I don't know what you're talking about.
What's that? What did Paul say?
He claims we hit COD in 53.
Yes.
I think it was December 7th in 53, apparently.
What's the story of that?
Yeah, is that actually true?
But yeah, apparently they were in our way. They were too slow. They didn't get out of the way. I think they were first slow when we hit them. We've had a reputation of bad driving. My favorite story, and there's no joke, Captain Becker, there was 2 incidences before they even got to the war that he crashed. The favorite one, though, is they went into the pier, and right there was an outhouse, and there was someone in the outhouse, and he ran out with his pants at half staff. Like, that's just classic.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Let's see. Before we let you go and talk behind your back, I always love to say that. Any last things you want us to learn about the Cobia? Like I said, I didn't really know much about it before you came on tonight, so I definitely appreciate the opportunity not only to check out these photos, but also to check out the information that you've got on the website, which is again www.wisconsinmaritime.org. Any last things you want us to know about the Cobia?
I think that pretty much covers Cobia. Yeah, but we celebrate submarines, is Cobia and the 28 Manitowoc subs every year. 4th of July, we have a sub fest. I think we're in year 9 or 10 now. So there's a Facebook page for that too. So we celebrate everything submarine, and vets come down and give tours, and it's a lot of fun.
Hulk Hogan's type says, does Cobia's work periscope work?
Yes.
Yeah, I can attest to this.
Yeah, they're we was it the general we can raise and lower. I don't think the other one's not hooked up yet, but yeah, one of them does work.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to go up and actually do the whole thing up there when they took me aboard. Fantastic.
Like almost everything when you were there.
Yeah, true. You guys gave us the full tour.
Yep.
Well, I'm pretty impressed because you talk about the periscope working. At the start of our broadcast, you also mentioned the fact that the radar works, doesn't just rotate, it actually operates. It's functioning. Functioning radio room. 2 engines and an air compressor that are operable.
Yep.
Engines that you start a couple times a year, and you actually use as a fundraising effort, you know, allowing people to start the engines. What on the sub doesn't work?
The heads.
Okay.
I don't want to deal with that.
Torpedo tubes.
Our overnight people and people. We have a sub B&B too. You can rent it like an Airbnb.
What?
Y'all have to go up to the museum, even if it's 5 degrees and snowing.
Okay. So if they're staying on board,
yep,
using the restroom, using the bathrooms, they've got to go up to the museum. Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
So they aren't locked in the museum during the night?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, the gangway is connected to the museum now. When I first started there, before the expansion, it wasn't. But now that's connected, it's a bit more secure. So we have, we're getting back to closer normal numbers, about 3,000 or so overnight participants a year, usually the youth overnight programs, Boy Scouts and all that. But then with COVID, we added sub B&B, and we use that. We still run it Sunday through Thursday, and Friday, Saturday. This time of year, every Friday and Saturday's got a whole bunch of kids on there, so we can sleep up to 65. But you can also rent the boat for the base price. I think is $500.
Here's another question that I've always been curious. Did submerge in the lakes during training? I know that wouldn't have been able to happen on Lake Erie, but does anyone know if any of the subs?
Oh yeah, they all did.
Yeah.
The trick was though, if you're in one of the oceans and there's water, you can taste it and see if there's a leak or not. You can't really do that in Lake Michigan. It's going to taste the same. They actually, some fun stories. They navigated using the neon signs from bar taverns. That's how they navigated on the lake. They often tracked the car freight at that time was going twice. And if you look at, I think it's on our page as well. There's a page for each of the Manitowoc subs. Some of them are just covered in ice when they come back in. To the point where lookouts, they'd have their big coats on and they were just frozen over, and they took an axe to chisel the ice off of them before they could even take off their coat. So there's a lot of great stories from the Manitowoc subs.
So I've got two questions here.
Go ahead.
This whole Airbnb thing is just blowing my mind.
Yeah.
Do you have a staff member stay on board with each one?
Either on board or within the museum. Yeah. So they arrive. I think it's after 3 or depending on the group. The staff member gives them a full tour for as long as they want. They can go out to dinner, have dinner brought into the museum. We have a small kitchen. We have movies and games and stuff. And they each get a sea bag. So they have all their linens and all that in the sea bag. And they can sleep pretty much anywhere on the sub. But yeah, we do have a staff person there all night to keep an eye on things and be available if there is an emergency.
Has theft ever been an issue?
Not with us, actually. We've been very fortunate with almost always having guided tours. That's helped a lot with things walking off. So we have the cameras. We really push the respect when we have people on board. This is a historic vessel and it tells a story. Behave.
So Karen, where does the staff person stay at a ship B&B? Do they stay on board the boat, or do they stay like on a cot in the museum? Or
depends on who's working it. Sometimes they'll stay on board. Otherwise, if they want to give the group more privacy, if we think we can trust them, then they'll stay up in the museum. But they're always available. They have radios that they use. But for the youth overnights, they do stay on board, usually in the officers' area.
Have you ever stayed on board with a group?
Many, many times. When I started at the museum, I was a tour guide, and then I did quite a few overnights for a couple of years while I was in college. So, yes, I spent many nights on Cobia.
Ken, have you slept on a museum ship at all?
Not yet, but I want to.
It is so cool. No matter how many times you do it, it's just 3 a.m. if you're the only person awake and you just walk around. It's the coolest feeling in the world.
Oh, I would love that.
Yeah, I remember when we were first setting this video podcast up, which I guess that was about a year and a half ago. You actually related that. I don't know if you were really telling a story. You just said, if you walk around, 2, 3 a.m, there's nothing else like it. And that actually kind of stuck with me. So I would like to experience that.
It's really cool to be on board when one of the big ships comes in, either the tugs or freighters. The very first time I heard that was on an overnight, and it just kept getting louder and louder. I'm like, something's gonna blow up. I went up topside, and there's a big freighter sitting right there a couple 100 feet away. So that's really cool that we have our, working harbor, that sometimes boats will go by while you're underneath, and it's really cool to hear. And you can imagine what it was like for those guys to hear the enemy.
So what you're actually mentioning the sound of the propeller as it's going by.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I got to experience that because the tugboat went past us while, and yes, I lined up the periscope for a shot as it went past. But I remember that sound just going, what's that?
Right. First time you hear it, it's a little scary.
Yeah.
Okay, so
does it move with the passing traffic?
Not really. With passing traffic, no. But if we get the right wind direction and the right waves, that boat will bob backward, forward, left, right, up and down. It's fun then.
So it'll move.
Yep.
Okay, so my second question, and there's also a third question now. Do you guys still fire blanks out of the guns?
No, they're all
Guns?
cemented.
Okay. Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. All the barrels have
Um,
cement.
Can you rotate them?
And
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, it was
I don't remember my third question now.
2010, I think we pulled the 40 off because we added torpedoes, and since we had the crane alongside, pulled the 40 off to blast it and repaint it, put that back on. So yeah, that's a popular thing when the weather's nice for the overnight kids to do target practice with the 40.
Um,
Oh,
Let's-
water levels there.
Go ahead.
Any issues with that?
No, that we're aware of at the moment. I have a feeling that it's gonna get close again to the bottom because the lake was so high the last several years.
Mhm.
The gangway was from when I was there, it always went down onto the sub, and for like 2 years, it was going up onto the sub. Kind of freaked me out. But now that that's going down, I have a feeling that a lot of sediment has gotten underneath there. We're probably getting close to the bottom again, but we are hoping to maybe piggyback on a dredging of the rest of the river. And then
Did she touch the bed there?
Yeah. We last dry docked dredged in 2001. Yeah. So we're hoping to. That's actually we're talking about that all the options next week actually. But the city, Manitowoc, different organizations got 3 large grants, harbor assistant program grants. So one of them is for dredging, and we're hoping they can just do that little bit under the boat too.
Any other questions, guys, before we let Karen
Maybe
go?
they'll find my cell phone from a few years ago.
You what?
Oh no.
Maybe they'll find my cell phone from a few years ago.
Oh, that's like one of my worst fears.
What, you lost it?
Yeah. Yeah, the battery, it was probably like 10 years ago. The battery in the back of the phone landed on the deck, and the phone itself went kerplunk.
I've never lost anything over the side.
There's keys in there, there's radios, there's a paint roller by accident.
Somebody asked if Cobia is bigger than the Slater. Cobia lengthwise is just I think like 5 feet longer, not as
311.
wide. Yeah. Slater's 306.
Okay.
Displacement, I think it's roughly the same.
Mm-hmm.
That
But-
surprises
yeah,
me.
it's
'Cause
very-
Slater felt bigger than a submarine.
It
But,
does. Anytime I look at World War II subs, I'm astonished by the size.
yeah.
Because I always just felt they were so much smaller than they really are. But
Well, you got to qualify that. I mean, when you think about American subs versus German subs, especially like the
yeah,
Type
that's true.
7s, they were a lot smaller. Well, I mean, not a lot, but they were considerably smaller. U.S. boats had some serious size to them, which makes them pretty cool, I think. I mean, I was on the Cod a while ago. I've been on the Croaker, and you compare that experience to the U-505 in Chicago, considerably smaller. Yeah, exactly. That's a good comment. Cobia is a king size compared to the U-505.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's night and day. Let's see. Well, Karen, I definitely appreciate you giving us your time tonight.
Thanks for having me on here.
Yeah, give
Yeah,
us
appreciate
more time than you bargained for. That's for sure. Like I said, it was
all
only
right.
going to be about a half hour, and we got you for an hour, so that's always a victory for us. Let's see here. So Karen Duvall, curator at the Wisconsin Maritime Museum in Manitowoc, Wisconsin, highlighting the USS Cobia, which you see there in the picture. One last time, check them out. Check out their website, www.wisconsinmaritime.org. Throw your support behind their efforts to keep the USS Cobia on display.
I'm just doing this so that we can actually see her face while we.
Yeah, oh no, that's fine.
Yay.
That's fine. Thanks, Connor. And
Donate to their dry dock fund
what's that?
Yes, donate to their dry dock fund.
Yes.
Yes.
and the
Yeah.
Sullivan's dry dock fund
Everybody's dried out.
and the kid.
Especially tonight for Karen joining us. Check out their website. Check out their social media content. Check out their YouTube Facebook, Instagram platforms, and click like and subscribe. I always say that. Click like and subscribe. Karen, thanks for your time tonight.
Yeah, great. Thanks.
All right, we are
Bye.
going to shut you down and talk behind your back. And
Well, didn't you read that comment from Paul? He says if anyone talks smack about Karen, he's gonna get us in San Diego. So we better
we're
be
going
careful.
to.
He's got my back.
Yeah, he's got her back.
it's good to have Paul as a friend. All right, Karen, you have a great evening tonight.
Thanks. You guys too. Bye.
All right.
Okay.
Right.
Great talking with you.
She was
So the thing with you, Ken, is if you're not going to go to San
Yeah.
Diego this year, then you don't have to worry about it
What's that?
for the Hinza conference.
Well,
Because he's saying I'll see people in Hinza. So if you're going to talk about her back, and if you're not going to go to Hinza, talk about her back. He's not going to come visit you.
that's in San Diego, right?
Yeah, this year.
Yeah.
Coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who wouldn't
In
want to go
September,
to San Diego?
right?
Yeah.
I
Always
think,
September.
I think the date was just announced.
For the
I'll need to check.
symposium. Sorry, not conference, symposium.
The symposium, right? I
Mm.
remember.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Everybody liked having Karen on tonight.
Yeah, she's
I
Well,
mean-
it's a female. We have so many.
Maybe that's what it is.
Well, Karen's been in the
Yeah,
museum
thank you.
industry
She's been great. Yeah.
for longer than most people. So
Well, did I
Yeah.
hear her say she's over 20 years?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, I thought it was 14. I'm sorry. I must
Maybe
have
as
heard that.
curator. Maybe as curator 14.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh.
But she's involved with the ship for a very long time.
Well,
Ship. Oh.
let's get on to some other news. We're gonna go right to John Epp, and breaking news, by the way. John originally said that he had to bolt at 9 p.m. Eastern, but then he sent a private chat note saying that his plans were canceled. Lucky us. So
Great.
I don't know why Shane's laughing. I
don't
do
sound
actually,
too excited, Ken.
yeah. I'm on the edge of my seat. What's going on with the Slater?
I know. Did you know he was actually going to show photos? Oh boy.
He sent them to me.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I didn't send. Well, I sent you the other ones.
Well, and I added to them.
Okay.
For those of you that aren't aware, me, Shane, Connor, John have a little, I don't know, text thing going
Chat
on.
room.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah. And so John started sending pictures. And at first I didn't really know what they were of, but then when you take a closer look, I mean, they're holes, and that's never a good thing.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
That one was publicly released, so yeah, that's good.
Mm-hmm. Was I not supposed to air those other pictures?
Oh, all these eventually go on our Facebook page.
Okay. So what's the story?
So January, some point, we got a few days of rain. We came in and there was a flood in the chart room. Well, chart room is, what, 25, 30 feet off the water line. So we knew the water's coming from above. And the superstructure leaks quite a bit. Going into the winter, we had a major wardroom project to address some leaks, many decades of leaks. We're actually replacing part of the bulkhead in the wardroom. But then one morning we come in after a rainstorm and there's a flood in the chart room. The guys start doing some investigation, and basically the left picture there, after they moved some insulation, there was a rather small hole, maybe fist size, into the gun director on the flying bridge. Did
Well,
more investigations over the coming weeks.
Are these the kind of holes you're talking about?
No, those are additional holes that have been.
Oh, sorry.
up.
Okay. We'll get to that later.
So on the right is the inside of the gun director on the flying bridge. It was
that's not the chart
installed. No, so he's above the chart room.
Oh, okay. Hold
The
on.
leak is coming from the gun director. So the gun director is not original to the ship. It was installed, I believe, March of 45. I might have my dates mistaken. But how they did it was it's a prefabbed room, basically, small room. and
Is
they
the gun
just
director in this picture? That's it up
yes,
there, right? It's that cross-looking thing, right?
it's right below the mast.
Oh,
Um,
so you can't
yeah,
see it in this picture. Okay.
no, it's right there.
At the base of the mast?
Yeah, where the mast comes down, all of a sudden there's like a structure on the top, the very
Yeah.
top structure there. That's the gun
Okay.
director.
All right. All right. Okay. Great.
So that was installed like March of 45. So it's a prefabbed section. So they basically just craned it on top of the ship, welded it to the deck. So there is a false deck essentially, and you can see it in the picture on the right. So he's kneeling on the flying bridge deck, and then they install the gun director. But they never thought to have access to the flying bridge deck where he's kneeling,
Mhm.
which I understand. The ship was only designed to live a few years, not 80 years.
Yeah.
So I mean, you don't have to think about that. But the ship has survived 80 years. So water has gotten through various weld seams and holes and just sat there, rusted the deck away. And now it is, it looks like Swiss cheese. So we have some contractors. They just started working this week. Going to be hefty project. Yeah, there you go. That's after we all the rust was cleaned up. So yeah, it's
There
costing us
was.
a pretty penny.
Oh
I can
yeah.
imagine.
And CIC and chart room, there's a good chance it will not be open for opening day in April, just because of the sheer amount of work that has to go on. But going into the winter, really our only major project was going to be this. The bottom there had rusted out again, years of water seeping in. There's evidence the Greeks knew about all these leaks and they had done patch jobs. Again, they didn't think the ship was going to last after they were done, so they didn't really need to fix things too much.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just project after project is popping up, and it's just more and more money that you're having to spend. Stuff.
Mhm.
What? Let's see. Picture number 9. Hold on a second here.
So left that's the chart room.
Okay.
That's after we cleaned up. So in CIC and the chart room, of course, we moved all of our artifacts and stuff, covered everything with tarps, plywood, blah blah blah. So that's just the rust that fell through after they started removing insulation and kind of poking here and there. They've removed, I want to say, close to a dozen buckets of just rust.
Wow.
On the right, that was another project we were doing. That's
Oh, I thought so. You cut holes into the floor and you found this guy.
no.
Okay.
Yeah, it kind of looks like we did, didn't we? No, so that's Bill. He's a longtime volunteer.
All right.
He's been with the ship for a while. No, he's helping restore 2 compartments, former magazines under a berthing compartment. Every winter we try to repaint a room, and we chose these 2 magazines to repaint. It's storage for our spare parts for various guns on the ship. So he's working in one of the rooms. One of them, it's fully repainted, reorganized, looks beautiful. In the next couple of weeks, we'll have this room done as well.
Wow.
But just recently, on Tuesday, one of the volunteers was chipping away at some paint and uncovered what is probably the original World War II stenciling compartment number on the wall, which is really cool.
Nice.
So
Oh, really?
Yep, we'll preserve that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But this picture right here, which I had up before, that's something
Yeah.
else.
Yeah, so that's one of the chunks of rust that just came up under that false deck that he's sitting on.
Who is this guy that's looking all happy?
That's Thomas. He is late 20s. He's been volunteering. Actually, he's part-time staff now. He's been working on the ship since 2010 or something, when he was like 16 years old. He drives like 2.5 hours each way to get to the ship. He's been doing that for 10 years.
Well, I was going to
And
give
he's
him
the
some-
smallest crew member we have, so he can kind of get in all these nooks and crannies and do the work.
I was
I
going to
will
give him grief
yeah.
for holding that big chunk of rust, but if he's driving 2.5 hours each way, he gets a break.
I will say Thomas was the very first Slater crew member to ever reach out to me, like way in my earliest days in museum ships. We got chatting about things. So it was a pleasure to meet him at Henza this year.
Yeah,
last year.
a lot of the pictures you see on our Facebook page come from Thomas. A lot of like pictures of work going on the ship. He's our official photographer, basically.
Gotcha.
James in the comments just mentioned light bulb bases in there. Yeah, when they opened up this base here, there were a couple light bulb sockets just sitting down there. No idea how long they've been there.
What do you mean? I mean, they were installed. They weren't just sitting there.
Broken light bulbs were sitting down there under the deck. Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
But there's no lights in there.
Okay, now that's funny.
Yeah, it's
So
probably
hold on.
Greek. Yeah.
You're talking about when you cut. Where was that picture? Was it this
Yeah, it's
one?
the one with.
You're talking about when you cut these access holes?
Yep, on the right. Yeah, there was broken light bulbs.
Huh.
Yeah. Now, Doug there, he is kneeling on a doubler plate that is bolted to the deck. And it looks like that may have been either wire access, a wire run, or possibly there was a ladder installed behind the mast and you could climb up into the gun director. Some DEs did have that design. I believe the Slater did as well. Until they installed the gun director directly over top of the ladder access.
So you're saying it's almost just like a blank.
It's essentially like a trapdoor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Not entirely sure yet.
Let's see. And last picture was.
Yeah,
What's
that was
going
this
on?
week. So this is in preparation for the contracting work. We have contractors coming in to remove the insulation. They've done that work basically. So that's just covering all the CIC radar equipment and other speakers and whatnot with cardboard, and then we layered plywood over that. There's tarps, things like that. There'll be welding blankets because there's going to be a lot of welding going on in the overhead of that room. So got to protect everything. But she's still floating.
I was going to say there's always something, right?
Yeah. Oh, and 2 days ago was the 80th anniversary of the ship's launching.
Happy
Well, congratulations.
birthday.
Yep. And then the official birthday will be in May.
Well, I was just going to ask you what else is going on with the Slater, but isn't that enough?
Yeah, and then of course I got my projects. I'm just doing a lot of cataloging and organizing. We're hiring a bunch of new college interns. Joanne, our business manager, is doing a lot of the planning for the 80th birthday party that we're going to have in June. Everyone's invited. It's going to be a huge gathering, we hope.
That's where you're going to have it at the airplane hangar?
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds like it'd be a good time.
Yeah. We got roughly 20 of the Slater family members interested in coming out.
Awesome.
But,
so
about a
with
month and a half to open day.
So with all of these repairs going on the Slater, and if you don't need a reminder, well, I'm just going to give you a reminder anyway. You know, look at what they've got going on. Check out ussslater.org for your support behind these repairs. What was the deal with these holes?
Yeah, that's so you're looking up into the gun director.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay. All right.
From the chart room in CIC.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chopper, he's a bit late. Yeah.
Hey, Chopper.
Slater found some holes. There, you're all caught up. Yeah, check out ussslater.org. Throw your support behind the repairs. Check out their YouTube channel. Search for USS Slater in the search bar of YouTube. Check out what they've got going on. And some of these pictures I actually grabbed off of the Slater's Facebook page.
Yep.
So you can check out the progress there as well.
If you want a more detailed explanation of what's going on, the work associated with it, join our mailing list. Every month we send out a summary of what's happening the previous month. And it goes right to your email. It's free. Just go on our website under publications. It's called Slater Signals, and sign up. We'll email you a summary of what's happening at the museum.
Do they sign up at the website?
Yeah, ussslater.org, and at the top, just click publications.
Gotcha.
Beat me to it.
What?
And they all go on our website as well, so you can read 23 years worth of Slater signals. It's on all on our website.
All right. Moving on to the Buffalo Naval Park. And hold on a second here. Where is it? There we go.
Yay.
What's the latest over in Buffalo, Shane?
Oh, guys, the crew's working hard. There's work going on, and the Sullivans, they're doing some serious cleaning in the engineering spaces, and then pumping out all of that dirty, contaminated water. So we have an environmental company. They're cleaning out near the keel, the holds, the garboard area, underneath the 4 engineering spaces, because there was still some residual oil from the sinking. And then they're scrubbing that down and then sucking the water out. So I think they actually end the work today or tomorrow. And then we are going to be epoxying the inside of those spaces as part of the survivability plan. So once it's all cleaned and dried, and we're keeping the temperature at about 60 degrees in those 4 spaces, then they'll start layering on that 2-part epoxy that we actually started using on the outside of the ship before the sinking. And that will give it an extra layer of protection. My question is, I wasn't involved in those conversations, but my question is, will that be removable once we go to dry dock? If you're going to add something like that, can it be removed when it's served its purpose? So that's something I'm very interested in finding out, if it can be removed without hurting the vessel. So that's kind of the Sullivan stuff. The Little Rock, the crew's doing an absolutely amazing job. They have painted all of the second deck, all 610 feet. They've worked on the crew's lounge, so we're bringing one of the crew's lounge spaces back. We're bringing the ship's store back. We've brought back the entertainment and radio room. We've brought back the communications radio compartment.
I saw that in your in your 90 for 90.
Oh yeah, no, it's 91 for 91, buddy.
Huh?
It's 91 for 91. No, okay.
Well, no,
I don't know what you're talking about. 90 for 90. What is that?
Well, no, it's 29 for 29, but I figured you just keep going for 3 months. But yeah, on a recent episode, you did the radio room.
Oh yes, because you hate Rush, right? Is that it? And then that's why you're bringing it up. You're not a big fan of Rush.
I am not a big fan of Rush, but that's not why I was bringing it up.
Okay.
I was actually going to say for the month of February, Buffalo Naval Park, Shane and Steven are doing a series of videos, one each day.
Yeah, it's we're a little more than halfway through. I was actually going to premiere one tonight, and then we got this set up, and I said, no, I'm not going to premiere them concurrently. So I switched that to, I think, Sunday night. It's going real. Sorry, go ahead.
And those videos, that's not just members only. That's
Correct.
Yeah, okay. And because you had done another video recently where you had gone to your offsite storage facility that used to be a brewery. I was hoping that the Sullivan's propellers were going to be in there.
Oh, well, yeah, you're dying to see the Sullivan's propellers. Yeah, I know. I'm not being facetious or sarcastic. I bet you a lot of people would actually like to see those.
I'd love to see that.
So they're at a company in near Niagara Falls, and they're sitting in their yard. And when the time is right, we are going to have them rebronzed. There's some breakage points. It must have banged something, and so it kind of bent the prop, the very edge of the prop near the blade part. And so they'll reattach that, or it's not broken off, but they'll melt it down and then reform it, and that little area, and get it reconnected.
Was that damaged in the modern or?
Yeah, no, that was damaged in probably when they moved in like 2002.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
We moved about 1,000 feet, and they probably scraped along the bottom, and it just bent a little bit of the blade, like that. It's still connected, it's just a little rounded.
Shane, you probably have answered this before, but the Sullivans was never painted in dazzle during the war, right?
I'm sorry?
Painted in dazzle?
Not dazzle, no. She's like she spent the very end of the war year. She was in sea blue. Yeah, I think it's N5. Just as many Fletchers were. Just overall sea blue for her World War II service. Coming back in July of 45, they went to the graded system, which is like what the Kid currently uses. And then she was decommissioned in mothballs. I assume maybe she stayed in the graded system until 51, and then went just back to the right traditional haze gray with the shadowed hull numbers and stuff like that. So not dazzle.
Another news for Shane. You were recently on an episode of Armchair Commanders.
Yes, thank you. I was going to bring that up, but sometimes I forget.
How did that go?
It was good. We critiqued the movies. So do you want to give prefacing? Because you were on the show as well. So
Armchair Commanders. I like throwing my support behind these guys. They are a new and upcoming podcast. You can also find them on YouTube. And I think these guys have a great idea, because what they do is they review and critique war movies, talking about what's historically accurate, but more importantly, what's historically inaccurate. I was on a couple of weeks ago. We did the movie U-571. Shane was on, and what was the movie that you did with Sidney Poitier?
Yeah, the Bedford incident.
The Bedford incident.
So how did they rate your movie?
They rated if you've watched U-571, there were a couple of egg incidents in the movie. So it wasn't like 1 through 5 torpedoes. It was 1 through 5 broken eggs.
Okay. Gotcha.
And I liked U-571, so I gave it like 4 out of 5, but they didn't particularly care for it. They gave it like a 2.5 or a 3 out of
really
5 for U-571.
Wow.
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
and
they gave. Go ahead. Sorry.
And here's they basically said that a lot of it was historically inaccurate. If you listen to the episode that I was on, we talk about that quite a bit, and it was a lot of fun being on with those guys. I really, enjoyed it. But what was your experience with those guys?
Yeah, I think it was a good experience. They had the movie that I requested that they watch and we review is the Bedford incident. All right, fabulous, a little hyperbolic, but a fabulous Cold War film about a destroyer tracking a Russian submarine. Pretty good cast, as you mentioned, Sidney Poitier, Martin Balsam is in it, and I know the captain Finlander was someone famous at the time period. Now it came out in '64, and we used nuclear torpedoes as our rating system. And they gave it a 5 and a 4.5.
Oh, okay. So they liked it.
They liked it a lot, and they'd never heard of it. These are young kids. They're like, I'm sorry,
they're John and Connor's age. They aren't.
Yeah, let's say that. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
but no, I had a good experience. They, we talked a little bit about the naval park, and I kind of used our ships as a backdrop for the movie. So if I said, "Oh, this happened in the movie," this is what, I use the ships to kind of supplement the stories of the movie. So I think they said they'd like to bring me back and review. Oh, geez, I'm so sorry. I can't remember we had talked about another movie. Oh, Greyhound, which So I don't know. Maybe I should deflect to Tim or something like that.
I think you got to have the kid do that. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Well-
I think it was, which I could certainly pass along. They just kind of threw that out at the very end of the podcast. Hey, let's do a review of Greyhound. And I was like, okay, yeah. But, you know, in my head, I'm like, that should be Tim and Parks probably.
So
Yeah.
would you do their podcast again?
I would, yeah. I enjoyed it.
And again, if you guys didn't catch it, the name of the podcast is Armchair Commanders. You can find it on Apple, Spotify. They're on YouTube. Check them out. If you were going to send Connor or John their way, who would you recommend they have on, Connor or John?
Well, being a podcast, it's a different life, right? Than us. You know, it's like they're drinking while we're talking. There's a lot of swearing going on. So it depends on, it would have to be a little more casual environment, and whoever fits that more casual environment. Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah. You know. So, yeah, it's a different life. And for our show, it's being released tomorrow, if that's Friday. Yeah. So it's being released tomorrow, and it's about 2 hours, I think.
Oh,
We
that's
recorded it Saturday night. So what was that?
You were on for a couple hours.
Yeah, I think about 2.
Yeah. No, it's a good time. I highly recommend it. Let's see. And the other thing you got going on, like I said earlier, was your 29 for 29. So what are some of the other subjects that you're going to be covering?
Well, tomorrow is a nice in-depth look at the Talos, Terrier, and Tartar system. Then we have the Good Luck flag. Then I'm going to be doing a video about aircraft production in Buffalo. You know, to kind of map it out, I just can't remember all of the every subject has a day. You know, every day has a subject, I guess I should say. But it's I just usually focus on the next 2 days or something like that. So
it's a lot of work to do a video a day, isn't it?
Yes, I probably will not be doing this again.
Well, that's what you said last year.
Well, we did it in 22, so we didn't do it last year. But
it wasn't last year? I thought it was last year.
No, yeah, it was 2022 we did it. You know, it's gimmicky, right? I mean, some people are probably like, oh yeah, what a gimmick. And I agree. It's a little gimmicky, but it's a nice challenge. You know, since 2022, I've learned a lot. So now there's different subjects that I can cover that I would not have been able to do. And that's the point. Like, you're learning as you spend time at your ships, you learn, and then you can begin piecing things together and building evidence in a case for whatever you're trying to say. And so that makes it really interesting. And, you know, interacting with the subscribers and comments, like I've gotten a couple ideas for films, for videos from them. So it's a challenge, and I'm working every night now too, because I'm pretty much on at night when we premiere it. You know, for about an hour, just checking comments and seeing how it's doing. So, like, you know, in addition to working, you know, you're working every night for at least an hour, you know, so it's just a lot of time and energy, but ultimately it's real fun. I've enjoyed the interaction. You know, I didn't get as much on the Rush thing as I was hoping. I was hoping people would really kind of engage with it, because that's totally unrelated to shit.
Who you were talking about in that video?
What was that?
You had no idea?
No idea who you were talking about in that video.
You've never heard of the band Rush?
I probably have, but
What do you mean probably?
I'm a fan of Rush, so I appreciate it if that makes you feel
Canadian-
better,
they're
Jay.
Canadian
Thank you.
band, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Ugh, I hate Rush, but at least I know who they are.
Yeah, they're a band for. Thank you, Hoist. Yes, they're my favorite. They're probably
Rush
in my
is the
top
worst.
favorite.
Concert hall.
what year are they? What year?
Oh man, what year? 1974 through the 2000.
I don't even think color was invented then.
Yeah, no, you're right. Because we lived in
Brass
black and white.
Come on, Tom.
Was black and white.
Yeah, they.
Yeah, I just saw the BB4. I did a live BB4 with Nick, USS Iowa. That people really seemed very interested in that. Nick is a great guy. Maybe we should consider having him on here. Real engaging, and the people who watched really liked to listen to him. So yeah, that's really it. You know, I have it all mapped out.
People like Frank, Michael Phillips, the Kraut, Chopper, I see you on here, Hulk Hogan's Tights. Throw in your video ideas in the comments, and Shane has committed that he will do each and every one of them. Andrew Fisher. Yeah, so your video ideas, throw them in there. Ed, I know you got to have some ideas, and Shane and Steven have promised to do each and every one of them.
Just hey, let's open up. There you go. This is a great one.
What? Where did the name YYZ come from? YYZ. Is that an identifier? That's got to be. That's got to be an airport identifier
for Toronto, Pearson Airport.
Oh, I used to fly into the. That's the no, Peter. That's the island airport.
Is it?
No,
it doesn't be Pearson Airport.
No, Pearson is the main airport. The island airport is Billy Bishop.
Yeah, no. You're right. Pearson is YYZ, because I used to fly into the island airport all the time. That's where I would fly into.
Yeah, it's Billy Bishop.
Yeah.
So yeah, ultimately, it's going really well. I just see Tim comments. Tim and John and I, you know, just in separate circles. I'm working on what I find a really great subject, and so I've talked to John and I've talked to Tim, you know, about this. So I'm really excited to kind of dive into that subject. I probably for release over the weekend, maybe Monday. I don't know yet. So, but yeah, it's fabulous. Thank you for your support, everyone.
Yeah, check out the Buffalo Naval Park. Check out their YouTube channel. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. What?
I'm just reading the comments from Tim and Slater, John, and Retort.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the comment section has been a music argument for the last half hour.
Well, and Hoist mentioned YYZ. Where did it come from? I think it had to do with something like a Morse code and the railroad in Canada.
Yeah, so what they did, the song starts off, and that was the code from the airport. And so that's how Neil Peart starts the ding 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 ding.
No, I mean I knew Eddie Lee hearing the Morse code on the YYZ, on the VOR flying into Pearson. Okay.
Gotcha. It is Pearson. Okay.
Well, no, YYZ is Pearson. The island airport, God, I forget. I filed that flight plan so many times you'd think I would know what the identifier was. But that's whenever I flew into Toronto, I would always clear customs. I'd land at the island airport, clear customs there, but I can't remember what the identifier was.
Oh,
anyway, and it was cheap to park your plane. They had cheap gas too, so it was a good place to fly into.
Well, good for you. That's pretty astounding that you would fly from, say, your hometown to Toronto. Like that's quite an accomplishment.
Oh, well, we did it all the time. That's what happens when you marry a Canadian. So,
oh yes, okay, gotcha. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So let's see. So, like I was saying, the Buffalo and Erie County Naval and Military Park. Check out buffalonavalpark.org. Check out their YouTube channel. Search for Buffalo Naval Park, and you'll see the 29 for 29 videos that we were just talking about. Facebook.
And if you can, check out tomorrow's podcast with the Armchair Warriors.
Armchair Commanders.
Sorry. Yep. Sorry.
Yeah. Armchair Commanders. Check out their podcast. You can find them on Spotify, Apple. They are now posting their episodes on YouTube as well. And if you guys give them a like, throw in a comment, maybe we'll have them drag John or Connor on for upcoming guests. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
So, guys,
I'm not sure what I'd watch about.
Yeah. What were you saying, Shane?
I was saying just make them begin thinking about your favorite war movies.
Yeah.
And they also will review any war movie. It doesn't have to be naval. It doesn't have to be World War II. I mean, so if you like...
Yeah, they just did Braveheart.
Yeah, they did Braveheart. If you like 300 or whatever, you know, like
Kelly's Hero
or something. So
no.
Sorry, Hulk Hogan's Tights. No. Thank you. Thanks, Rob. I like that.
All right.
Yes, let's move on.
moving on to the Transportation Museum of Thunder Bay. Connor Kilgore, who we love the fact that he handles a lot of the comments, pulling the levers and dials behind the scenes, but he is also one of the administrators for the Museum Ships Facebook group. If you found us here tonight from the Museum Ships Facebook group, throw a comment in. We'd love to hear from you. Let's see. What is going on at the Transportation Museum of Thunder Bay?
Well, nothing exciting like a dry docking to plan or anything like of that nature, like what's happening on Slater. But at the moment, we're writing a ton of grants. We're working out with our plans for this year, operating plans. Our AGM is in 2 weeks, so that's going to be happening very shortly.
What is that? What's your AGM?
Annual general meeting. Basically,
it.
it's a meeting where decisions are made for the following year for this upcoming season. So that's coming right up. And I personally was recently interviewed because a freighter was discovered on Lake Superior called the Arlington. And its last port of call was Port Arthur, Ontario, which is the north side of Thunder Bay. It sank in 1940. And I got interviewed, or at least got asked for a comment when it was discovered. And that article hasn't seemed to come up yet, but it's out there somewhere. So that was fun. But other than that, though, for me personally, a lot of digitization work. We have a rather large photo collection, which has gone undigitized. So we've been working on that process. And as for everyone else, we've been just planning for this next year coming up. We have potentials for a bunch of new things on site, which I can't go into details with just yet. But things are looking good for this year coming up. And it's just doing the behind-the-scenes stuff right now. It's warmer than normal for this time of year, but it's not so warm we can get onto the ship and just start opening her up again. So we're still waiting on that front.
What's the temperature right now?
It is currently -9, which in Fahrenheit is, because I realize most of you are American, 16.
I was going to say 20?
16.
16? Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, not as cold as it normally is for this time of year. Normally we're into
we are here at Minneapolis right now. We're at about 20. We just got 6 inches of snow.
Okay.
But it's been so mild here.
I know it has been. It's been really mild. But yeah, so we've been working on that. Love this picture, by the way. You can see me in the photograph marching my way over because I realized I forgot to lock the door.
Well, then who's taking the picture?
One of our other volunteers. She came with me to check the ship, which we do every couple of days to make sure everything's good on site. And yeah, basically she takes photos almost as much as I do. And she got this actually quite nice shot, which she gave the museum permission to use. So it's quite nice.
Let's see. A couple people making movie suggestions. I wanted to post this guy. He said MSP was snow free last week. That was last week. This week, actually last night we got about 7 inches of snow.
Oh yes, yes. I just remembered another thing we're doing. Thank you to my father for commenting and reminding me. We are preparing for our National Heritage Bronze Plaque. In October of this year, the Alexander Henry became a National Historic Site for the country of Canada for her representing basically the finest intact example of the 1950s shipbuilding, national shipbuilding project. So she's one of the best remaining examples. So she got her heritage status on in October, and a bronze plaque with a summary of the ship is getting set up. And very soon it will be on site, probably for the summer, and it will be unveiled to the public. And people who walk by can learn about the ship even when we're not open.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Connor,
yeah.
Do those lifeboats, the engines still work?
Oh, hold on a second.
Oh, those. We haven't tried.
What?
So, no, we don't know yet. We're hoping to get them off in the next year or so, just to take them down, do maintenance work on them. Henry, as built, had 2 work boats, which are that boat on the right. That's one of the work boats, and then she had 2 lifeboats. So, to my knowledge, they don't run, but I'm not sure their condition. Like if they could run with enough work, although seeing the guys we have helping us, they'd probably be running if we gave them a month. And the reason we have landing craft like this, because one of the duties of the ship was to transport supplies and passengers to and from various lighthouse stations along the north shore of the Great Lakes. I hope that answers the question.
What kind of that work boat with the red hull? What kind of motor? What kind of engine does that have?
I don't know the exact type, but it's a small little 4-cylinder.
Oh, so it wouldn't be like an outboard or anything like that.
No, it's like a little diesel motor.
Okay.
And there's like a little 1-cylinder putt engine in the lifeboat as well.
Sure.
Oh my God! Look at all these movies coming up.
Yeah, I don't even recognize half of them.
Oh, come on. You go over to Armchair Commanders and start, telling them that History X Buffalo Naval Park sent you, and start giving them movie ideas. Just tell them you said hi, and they'll get a big kick out of it.
Yeah.
Let's see. All right, and what else you got going on?
Final Countdown, great movie.
Yeah, Final Countdown, great movie. That's about it. Like we're starting to gear up. We're starting to do some preliminary hiring work, although nothing super big yet. We are looking for a part-time bookkeeper. So if you are Canadian, consider it. All our information is on our Facebook page, Transportation Museum of Thunder Bay. And then the only other real thing I can really think of is our gift shop is coming along. A bunch of our new merchandise with our new logos and our new stuff is coming. And our website is undergoing a maintenance, and it's getting redesigned, revamped, and that should be coming online sometime in March, although we don't have the exact date yet for that. I gotta ask the guy on that. But yeah, that's basically what I've been up to. Not as exciting as you guys, and I wish I was still aboard the ship every single day, but yeah, I'll get there eventually.
The Transportation Museum of Thunder Bay, to check them out, www.tmtb.ca.
And you can look us up on Facebook and Instagram, Transportation Museum of Thunder Bay, on both.
Cool. There's just one thing I want to mention tonight before we sign off, and I got the silver play button.
Oh, congratulations
for exceeding 100,000 subscribers.
Nice job.
Congrats.
And I bring this up because, well, I wouldn't get anything unless there were subscribers.
Blow up your screen. Blow up your so it's just you on the screen. I want to take a look at that.
Hold on a second. What, did you swallow your microphone?
What?
There you go.
Sweet.
Yeah. Oh, looks great.
Yep. Wow. So I bring this up because I wouldn't have had anything like this unless it was from subscribers, viewers and subscribers, So like I always say on these video podcasts, can't do it without viewers and subscribers. Well, the same thing happens with something like this. So
when did you really start taking YouTube seriously?
Well, the first video for History X was February of 21. It took 3 years to get 100,000 subscribers. And in my previous life, I had, created videos here and there. But seriously, for me, I'd probably say that February of 21 is when I decided to start this channel. It's the pandemic. We're all under quarantine, and I didn't. So yeah, so I'd say about right around 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations.
I appreciate it.
Congratulations, man. That's fantastic. Yeah. I first learned of you it was like the first time you did coverage of the Johnston, like way back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was the first time I learned of you, and then like 6 months later, that's when John contacted me about getting involved with all this. So.
Well, and the videos about the Johnston, that's how Shane and I got connected.
He looks like he regrets it every day of his life.
Yeah, I mean, he's got some lines in his face he probably didn't have before he met me. But yeah, so if it wasn't for the Johnston, I don't think Shane and I would have ever crossed.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, it's been a great partnership. You know, it's fairy dust and butterflies like every time we talk and connect. It's really great.
I would throw some fairy dust on that microphone if I could get it to sound better. What did you do with your microphone?
I don't know what you're talking about. It's been like this the whole night.
That doesn't necessarily mean it sounded great.
Sorry.
Guys, back me up here. You had a great. Okay, here's something about Shane that you guys don't know, but I spent hours with this guy getting his microphone. What happened to your microphone with the little green lights? You had such a great microphone.
Yeah, it's just upstairs. It's just, sorry. I'll get it. I'll have it for next time. You did spend hours.
Did you see John smirk?
I see it right now. Yeah, he's still smirking.
I shouldn't criticize because tonight I had video problems, so I'm using my backup camera right now. So I guess we all have problems.
Yeah, it's just upstairs. I can get it.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Anything? Go ahead, Connor. What are you gonna say?
Yeah. My phone's going off, reminding me that one of the new things for any of you here that collect challenge coins, that is one of the big premier items that we will be having in our gift shop this year, and we'll also be selling it probably online as well. So it took us 3 years of convincing, but we finally have challenge coins coming into our store. So
you were texting us about the proof, right? Or what did you call it?
The proof of concept.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And so those are going to be available this spring?
Yeah, they should be. Oh my word.
What?
My dad's post. My dad watches these.
Yeah, well, I know your dad makes all kinds of great comments. I love having your dad on. Oh, I just shut you down. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, we all have our technical issues, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, Today mine's with my camera. Shane swallowed his microphone. John's video is on point. John always has great audio.
Yeah.
And Connor looks like he's on a fogged up television.
I got this Logitech in 2008 for school, so it's holding up. But I really need to get a new one.
Is it holding up?
I mean, it still works.
Okay. Does it though?
The thing wants to die and you're just making it suffer.
Oh man.
I've probably only used it like 50 times in 15 years.
Yeah, well. When my camera for what I think I need to I did the update on my MacBook Pro, and I think that's why my regular camera, I must need a new driver for it. But I sat down tonight to log on. It's like, oh no, it's not connecting. So I had to dump out a box of, actually this pile of stuff over here is from a box I dumped out on the floor looking for this old camera, and it still works. So I've got that set up on the monitor. Yeah, we all have technical issues.
Lovely. I love them.
Let's see. I want to give a special thanks to Karen Duvall, who is the curator at the Wisconsin Maritime Museum, for joining us tonight to tell us about the USS Cobia. I thought she was great. And to check out what they've got going on over there. Again, the Cobia is going to be going in the dry dock, not in 24, but in 25. But they still have a lot of fundraising to do. Check out wisconsinmaritime.org to learn more. So again, special thanks to... Oh, I will. Yeah, special thanks to Karen. And once I get my other camera back up and running, I am going to send this to Connor so that he has something clear.
Do you have a microphone?
Yeah, I got microphones too. I'll send you a microphone.
I just use this.
Yeah, well, and let's see. When it comes to the Buffalo Naval and Military, Buffalo and Erie County Naval Military Park, check them out. BuffaloNavalPark.org. USS Slater, you can check out the USSSlater.org. Connor Kilgore at the Transportation Museum of Thunder Bay, TMTB.ca. If there isn't anything else for all of those guys, my name is Ken Stano with the YouTube channel History X, and thank you for watching, everybody.
And thank you
Have
for
a
all
good
these
night.
movies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all these movies, it doesn't stop.
Have a good evening, everybody.
Night, everybody.
Have a good night.
Good night.